In 2009, 7-year-old Evelyn Whitaker vanished from her bed in the middle of the night. No sign of struggle, no ransom, just an open window and a single muddy footprint inside. 9 years later, she came back, but she wouldn't speak to her father. Renslow, Maine, July 18th, 2009. The Whitaker house sat at the edge of a quiet cul-de-sac surrounded by old pine trees and the kind of silence that made summer nights feel heavier than they should. 7-year-old Evelyn Whitaker was last seen at 8:46 p.m. Her mother, Diane, kissed her goodnight and left for her shift at the care home. Her father, Matthew, stayed home, said he was tired, said he'd lock up after dinner and check on Evelyn before bed. He never did. By morning, the girl was gone. The police arrived just after 6 a.m. The child's bed was untouched, covers pulled neatly up to her chin, as if tucked in by someone meticulous. The window above the radiator stood wide open, the night breeze curling the white curtain like a slow exhale. The screen had been cut from the outside. No fingerprints, no blood, no struggle, except one thing. A muddy footprint, small, the size of a child's shoe, was found just inside the sill, facing inward. There were no matching prints on the lawn below. No sign of any ladder. The grass was undisturbed. No neighbors had heard a thing. Not even the Whitakers' old beagle, Samson, who had slept through the entire night without barking once. When asked if he'd heard anything, Matthew Whitaker shook his head slowly and said, "She was fine when I checked on her. I must have fallen asleep after that." But officers found no evidence he'd gone upstairs at all. Later that day, when police dusted Evelyn's nightstand, they noticed something unusual. A small note, drawn in red crayon, folded neatly and tucked beneath her pillow. On it, a stick figure girl, a taller figure beside her, and in shaky lettering the words, "Don't tell Daddy." The town of Renslow rallied fast. Within 24 hours, Evelyn's face was on every utility pole and coffee shop door. The media called it a clean abduction. No forced entry, no witnesses, no motive. But the parents' interviews told two very different stories. Diane Whitaker, exhausted and shaking, pleaded through tears during her first TV appearance. "She's our only child," she said. "Please, if someone has her, bring her back." Matthew stood beside her, hands folded neatly in front of him, his jaw tight. He didn't cry. He didn't blink much either. When asked what he remembered from that night, he paused, glanced to the left, and replied, "She went to sleep. I watched TV. Then I went to bed." He never mentioned checking on her again. Police began their usual checklist: family, friends, registered offenders. But something didn't sit right. Evelyn had no enemies, no strange visitors, no school complaints. But one thing did catch attention. Her bedroom door had no latch, but the hinges were new, recent, installed within weeks before she vanished. Screws still silver, no paint yet chipped. One detective, off the record, called it an isolation setup. When they asked Matthew why he installed a new door, he answered, "Privacy." She liked quiet when she slept. Except Evelyn had night terrors. Everyone in the family knew it. In the following days, dogs were brought in. They lost the scent at the back fence just 20 feet from the house, but no sign of someone entering or leaving. A neighbor's security camera caught nothing, but one image, captured at 3:11 a.m., showed a figure standing motionless in the upstairs hallway window. Not Evelyn, taller, unmoving, just watching the street. The police never identified who it was. Matthew denied it was him. He claimed to be asleep. Weeks passed. Search parties dwindled. The local woods were combed over and over again. Dogs, drones, volunteers, even cadaver teams. But Evelyn had vanished clean, like fog burned off by the sun. The scent trail ended too early. Canine units lost her just past the edge of the Whitakers' backyard, right at the boundary where the grass met the forest. Some claim that was normal for abductions. Others called it impossible. The Whitakers stopped doing interviews. Diane moved into her sister's house across town, but Matthew stayed, alone, in the house, said he was holding out hope, said he didn't want Evelyn to come back to an empty home, but he never joined the searches. Volunteers noticed. Locals gossiped. One neighbor, Mrs. Elders, swore she saw him outside at 3 a.m., 3 nights in a row, not searching, just staring into the woods, silent, still, barefoot. When the case hit the 6-month mark, the press moved on. The reward signs were sun-bleached and curling. The porch light stayed on, but the inside of the Whitaker house went dark, curtains drawn. No visitors, no movement. Then came the maintenance call. In March 2010, a plumber was sent to the house for a frozen pipe in the basement. He never spoke publicly, but in the case file, he noted something strange. The crawlspace door beneath the stairs was nailed shut from the inside, and in the crawlspace wall, carvings, child height, shaky lines, etched with something sharp. Most were nonsense. Some looked like eyes, and one, deep, ragged, unmistakable, read, "I want my mom." The plumber didn't ask questions. He finished the job and left. No follow-up was made. The official record noted no evidence of significance. Case status, inactive, cold, and Matthew Whitaker remained where he was, waiting, watching the forest. October 4th, 2018. A teenage girl walked barefoot into the Marlton police station, 140 miles from Renslow. Her hair was tangled, her clothes tattered, skin pale like she hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. She said nothing at first, just handed over a torn index card. On it, one sentence in shaky blue ink. "My name is Evelyn Whitaker. I want to go home." Detectives were skeptical until the DNA results came back. It was her, 16 now, physically healthy, no signs of malnutrition or abuse, no visible injuries, no fresh scars, just one old crescent-shaped mark behind her right ear, faint but deep, as if something had been pressed there, repeatedly. When asked where she had been, she paused, then whispered. He said not to tell. She wouldn't elaborate. When her mother arrived at the station, Evelyn collapsed into her arms, cried for the first time in hours, wouldn't let go. But when her father entered the room, she froze, stone still, back straight, no eye contact. And when he reached for her hand, she flinched. Not just fear, something deeper, older. She refused to ride home with him. She asked to be placed in her aunt's care temporarily. Her request was granted. That night, when Diane helped Evelyn unpack at her sister's house, she found a single item buried deep in the girl's torn bag. A drawing, folded and refolded until it had split down the middle. It showed a stick figure girl in a bed, a window drawn beside her. Outside the window, a tall figure. Underneath, Evelyn had written just 4 words. He opened it again. Evelyn adjusted poorly to her return. She slept during the day, pacing at night, flinching at sudden noises. She refused therapy, barely spoke, and when she did, it was in fragments, riddles that left her mother unsettled. Don't let him find the stairs. He waits when you dream. A week after her return, Diane and her sister cleaned Evelyn's old bedroom. The room had been untouched since 2009, frozen in time. Dolls neatly lined on shelves, books stacked in careful order, but something didn't belong. Under the floorboard, beneath the corner where her nightstand had once stood, they found a small tin box. Inside were Evelyn's old crayon drawings. At first glance they seemed innocent. Stick figures, houses, suns. But as the drawings progressed, they grew darker. One showed a man-shaped figure, too tall, with hands that stretched almost to the floor. Another, a girl with wide, hollow eyes sitting in a corner, her mouth scribbled out in red. And one, The last page depicted a stick girl lying in a bed, and above it, written in clumsy block letters, "Don't tell Daddy." Diane froze. Her hand shook so hard the paper tore. She called Matthew into the room. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes scanning the box. Then he smiled, a tight, strange smile. "Kids draw weird things," he said. He took the page from her hand, folded it, and slipped it into his pocket. That night, Evelyn refused to sleep in the house. She curled on the porch swing, watching the trees. When Diane tried to coax her inside, Evelyn whispered, "The window's already open. He never closed it."